Right, we're on. So, excuse me, I'm trying to get the best angle to show you what I'm doing here, but I've lost my tripod, my little tripod for my camera. So I'm using a big tripod. The ladies used to call me tripod when I was at school, by the way. Don't know why. It's my nickname, the tripod. Right. Can you see? Can I see? Right. So, gearbox parts here. I'm going to come in closer in a minute. I've got this lovely output shaft, which has arrived from Germany, from Lutz. Let's have a look. Excuse him, what? This sound fellow here has also sent me a little card. Alright, this guy is on Facebook, on the Kawasaki kx250 page. He has got an absolute tomb of KX parts, 500s, all years, you name it. It's like a shrine. So anyway, I've got a few parts here which I've repaired some, and I've also got some parts here which are staying. Let me get this camera in a little bit closer. Okay, here we go. So, I'll try not to shout too loudly. I've got a replacement idle gear from Lutz as well. This is the old one. I've measured it inside here, the inside diameter with my vernier, and it's actually worn on the inside. I believe it's this one anyway. Do you know how to read a vernier? Because it's not just, it may appear 20 mil in there, but it's actually not 20 mil. I might do a video if you don't know about how to read a vernier, read this scale on here, do it correctly. Okay, or there are plenty of videos on YouTube how to do it. So anyway, I've got a couple of sprockets here, a Renthal one, and this one is, I don't know what make that sprocket is. I've had it a while. It's barely been used, but I've had it a while. It's 13 toother. This is the one that came with the bike, Renthal sprocket, 14 tooth. Couldn't have 14 tooth on that. Right, anyway, so the shaft here, the reason I've got myself another shaft and idle gear is because on this one there's a massive amount of play on there. Even though when this is anchored down with the circlip, there's a lot of play in it. I noticed it straight away when I was taking it apart. You can feel it. I can move that in and out, up and down, all directions, not just rocking it like that, you know. I can move it in and out and feel it really bad. So that, unfortunately, is worn out in there. I do believe that, you know, this could be pressed out and another copper insert could be replaced in there. Could do that. So I'm going to keep all that. I won't ever ditch any gearbox parts because I'm always looking to repairing them in the future. Okay, so this shaft here is also worn round here. If you measure it here, it's 20 millimeters, and here we'll measure it again. I can't remember what it was, but we'll go through it with a micrometer. That's worn. Lutz has measured the best one up he can for me and sent me this one. It's only like a thou out, is that? And also this side here where the, hopefully that's going to fly off, where the sprocket mounts. There's lots of wear on the one that came with the bike. So anyway, I've also replaced this gear. Can't remember what was that now. Is that the first or fourth gear, something like that? I can't remember what it was. So the one that was on the bike, it works, but let me get a little pointer. But I did highlight from focus. The light might not be very well. There's wear on here on the gear itself. So this is on its way out. It wants replacing, and I'm going to keep that because I will try and weld this up and maybe machine it out in the future, make it all nice and new again. I was thinking to myself, I could weld that up. I could actually drill a hole, machine or mill a hole in there straight through it, so I could actually get the filing just to cut that out. But the only thing is, this will be weighted, you see. So if you start cutting out parts of it, which will make it lighter, and I believe it will still have its strength and integrity. If you start doing that, you're going to make the gear out of balance, because this one's not locked on a shaft, you see. So it spins idly like that. So if you start messing around too much with welding and cutting parts out of it, you can actually unbalance the gear when it's turning, and that can cause a bit of more wear on your gearbox. So you need to really be careful what you're doing. I've welded up the gear dog in the last video, and I've filed it out. I've done that quite a lot with many gears, and it's never given me a problem. And I'm just used to doing it, and I've not really tested it, see if it is out of balance, but the gear dogs actually, they'll lock onto the shaft and the splines, so there's no real dramas there. Anyway, so I've got this one from Lutz, which is, it's used, but it's actually sharp and still square on its corners there. That's fine, I'm going to keep that. That'll be going into the bike, and that'll be going to the knacker's yard. So anyway, onto this set here. So, yeah, apart from it being worn, get this camera right for you. Apart from it being worn, oh, we're topping over. Fucking get your head together. Apart from it being worn down here, we're going to measure that in a minute. It's also worn up here, so I'll get the good one. On the shaft themselves, no, I don't think many people actually test for play on your counter shaft. And the problem is now, these things, there used to be about 80 to 100 quid or something like that, 130 quid. But they're you can't buy them, discontinue. You can't find them anymore at all. This can be manufactured, this can be made. A good engineer could actually make that on the lathe and get a gear cutter and cut those splines out, but it will cost you absolute fortune to have this made, plus it'll be hardened as well, so that is out the window. Right, so on here, this is a good one by the way, on here where the sprocket actually lives when it is on the bike, this has got no broken teeth on it. Where the sprocket lives, this can get worn out here. So if this were new, can you just barely make out those lines there, those machining marks there where it's been turned. Well, this area here is smooth. Can you see it there? I can see it there. This area is smooth, and there's some machining marks here. When this came from the factory, those machining marks would have been all the way along that. And you can, I can just see that how it tapers in here where it wears. There's like a step on it just there, a little step on there. So what's happening is, when your sprocket is mounted, and obviously you have to get a good brand of sprockets as well. That's a Renthal one down there. A good brand of sprockets, because these have to be engineered correctly. If you place this sprocket on right on the end of that shaft there, it's tight. It's tight. Okay, there's no playing at all. If I bring that right down past where it sits, so we're just touching those machine marks, again it's tight. If I raise it up to its position where it's on the bike, then we've got play in it, because the sprocket's been doing this harsh acceleration, which you're going to get on a dirt bike. It eventually wears this out here. So it is repairable, you know. I could repair it, but it will cost me quite a bit of machinery to get this back to new again and risk. So this one here I've got does barely has any play in it. It's if I sit it right where it should be on there, and I give that a good turn, there's not a lot of play in that. But if I go for the one which is on the bike, it's had some time as this now, and like I said again, it's hit and miss. These bikes, when you buy them, it really is a gamble of what's worn, how much is worn on it, and what you can get a hold of. So, you know, these parts aren't replaceable now, so you get what you buy. Right, so there's tons. If I look at that play, and that is absolutely knackered. So that's back and forth play there. So there's a lot of play in that. Before that actually engages with the drive, it's actually going to wear it more and more and more, make it worse. So, but if you put the Renthal one on, there's less play with the Renthal. Good brand Renthal, British. Good brand Renthal, but there's still some play in it, but there's slightly less play with the Renthal sprocket, okay? And that is a worn sprocket. You can see around here, it's not worn out, but it is a worn sprocket, is that. But nevertheless, it does actually fit better on there. If I put the Renthal one on here, let's get it into position. If I put the Renthal one on here, there's barely any play in that. Let me just hold it properly. There's not a lot of play in that compared to the other one. So that's a better shaft, okay? Moving on. we've obviously I've got this bearing replaced as well. I've got parts coming, circlips coming. Moving on, for an accurate measurement, I'm going to use the micrometer. So if I measure this diameter here, I've got a video on how to use a micrometer. I'll try and put a link to it after this video at the end, how to use a micrometer. If you're going to get a micrometer, okay, don't go for the average Chinese ones from eBay, which are like 13 quid or something like that. Get a good make micrometer. You must get a good make, because you'll never get accurate reading, especially if you're doing valve clearance and stuff like that. You need a really good make, well engineered micrometer, which is going to serve you well. I go for Moore and Wright. I prefer Moore and Wright equipment. Also, Mitutoyo. I've got a DTI here from Mitutoyo. These are about a few £100 actually. A digital one. You can tell when you use proper stuff. All right, how that feels compared to the crap stuff. You need precision for engineering, precision engineering. You need precision tools. Okay, I've even got a Moore and Wright vernier here as well. So look up the good makes, expensive stuff. So I'm going to measure this. I'll show you the measurements. So when you're using the micrometer, you got the thimble here. Okay, so what you want to do is a little tip out at the back. You wind it with this here. Okay. And move it to focus for you. So I'm going to take a measurement. There. That's as much as you need to do for measurement. You don't use this to actually take your measurement, because you'll move it too far. Alright, let's have a look. Am I central there? I don't think I'm central actually. Right. I'm just going to lock it off. I might not be able to get it off actually, but we'll try. No, because the actual diameter is a bit greater here. So instead I'll move it towards you. So I've got there, well, there we go. Right, I've locked it off very carefully. My measurement there, if you can read a micrometer, you'll know what that is. So that may appear to be 20 mil focus. 20 mil, but it's actually not. It's 19.919. Sound German, me, didn't I? Oh, nice. 19.919. This camera is shocking. Do your job. All these people are getting pissed off in videos. 19.919. I'll get a close look at it later. Alright. Again, my micrometer video will show you how to read this. So if I take the other one, if I measure it right on the end here, take a measurement from there, lock that off. This one, well, it seems to be over actually. It's 20.123. 20.3 is that on the end there. I may have. Let's try that again. Careful this time. Yeah, we're kind of bang on there. Right, so I'll take that off. Right, that is just over 20 millimeters. Okay, you can see see the zero. The zero is just below the mark, so it's 20.5. I'd say that is not that, yeah. So anyway, right, let's get the other one. So I had what, 19.915 on there, 919 or something. So I'm going to measure this one, exact same place. My hands are shaking. My wife's calling me now. The takeaways here. I'm going to lock that off. So we can get that out. So here we have 19.99. 19.99. Bang on. So it's not far off, a little bit away, but that's good, isn't it? You know, it's only a thou off, so obviously I can measure this one here. And that'll be the same. That's bang on, that 20 mil. Oh, it's stuck on there. 20 mil. So, right, I've got to go. Get my bloody Indian, my wife's calling me. And the conclusion is that this has got wear on this shaft. It's worn down here, it's worn there. It's bollocks, really. I'll keep all of that, see if I can copy some parts later or something like that. But this is going to serve me a lot better than the other one. Right, okay, so that's good. My left-hand crank seal, my right-hand crank seal, output shaft seal. I'm still waiting for the kickstart seal. And gear selector shaft seal. I've got boxes and boxes of seals. I need to work out what goes where. I can label them all up. These are from previous builds, so I'll sort that later. Got for brake. That brake rear front or rear brake caliper seal. Yeah, I've got all sorts of stuff in here. KTM bits and stuff like that, wheel bearings. Got boxes of stuff. Right. Okay. Right, cool. So we're all back together. Gear boxes assembled, and all the new circlips are on there. I think I need to get a new circlip for there as well. Just must remember to do that. All the old parts are here. The old bearing, the old gear, which is worn. I put the right one into. And this idle shaft here, which is not too bad, but it's a little bit out on that collar, that spacer. And again, this has got a slight bit of wear on it, so it's not that tight as it should be. And so is this shaft as well. Again, I'll keep them. I'll keep them and see if I can do anything, any crazy repairs, or try to replicate in the future, sometime in the distant future. All the circuits, I'll pull these off. I'll go to town on these when I'm pulling them off. Use once, you know. As soon as you get these off, they are quite scrap, so inexpensive, those parts. Yep, so I've got more bits here to sort out. What we got there? Spring, gear selector, return spring. I must replace that quite often, otherwise it wears out. Anyway, right, after all that hard work, as of always, I'm going to retire to the house, get myself a beer, sit with my little baby and watch Carson Brown MX, because he loves watching Carson Brown, believe it or not. He likes those two-strokes, and I know Carson Brown can make them bikes sing, can't he? So he just like watching that, thankfully. No Teletubbies and all that shit. So, yeah, thank you for watching. Oh, by the way, check this out. Garage floor, look at that, check that out. I've got myself some little jigsaw foam mats. These are brilliant, honestly, very cheap and brilliant. I think it was something like, I think this has cost me like 100 quid just to do all this here, you know, this bit here. But it's so good. I'm probably going to take these when I leave this place eventually. But they're so comfortable. I don't get achy feet anymore when I'm looking around here. It's lovely. And I've got some more coming. Call me beer. I've got some more coming. I'm thinking of doing that entire room in there. I may do the entire floor with these, because they're not very expensive at all, but they're brilliant. Little foam tiles, look. I'm even working in my slippers and pyjamas here. Oh, that's crazy, isn't it? Yeah. Looking quite cool in here, isn't it? Right, thank you for watching, everybody. I know it's not a massive interesting video, but I'm doing a lot of these videos, even though there's a lot of videos online showing people build motorbike engines with massive views and all that stuff. And but I'm doing these videos as well because the YouTube channel I've got is mostly not for me anymore. It's for my little boy, and I'll let him take over it when I retire from doing this. Maybe I won't, I don't know. But I'm going to let him take over from it. It's just stuff so he can grow up and watch me, watch the things I do, watch the way I work, stuff like that. So hopefully it'll last forever. So I will keep doing these videos. I still want to get out on the bikes, and I want to do a lot more motocross, and hopefully do a lot more family involvement with motocross as well, so I can go away places and watch it and participate, stuff like that. Really want to get into it. It's such a family thing, is motocross. It's such a good sport to get into. Anyway, modifying Arnold as well. I'm going to cut this out. Matrix, sorry, it's called Matrix. Cut this out here so I can put him a motocross shirt on, I think, and get these Pit Viper glasses on there. He's rocking the Kawasaki hat there, look. Looks pretty cool, doesn't it? I think I might just put that bag in his hand, something like that, so he's got all the Kawasaki stuff. I'll put some motocross gear on him. Look quite cool, won't it? Yeah. Out here, sorry. Right, thank you for watching. See you next time when I'm building the engine. The engine is getting built next week, so excited, all right. And the frame is ready to go to the powder coaters on Thursday, so it's all coming together. Right, goodbye. Thank you.